Hello, my name is Toria Davenport and my presentation is on Prader-Willi Syndrome. So firstly, an overview of Prader-Willi Syndrome. It is fairly rare. It occurs in approximately 1 in 10,000 births, and the key characteristics are low muscle tonnage, high and insatiable appetites, so a tendency to overeat, obesity due to this, and then behavioral and emotional issues. So the cause of this, it is not inherited to common knowledge, and it is caused by an abnormality on chromosome 15, which is likely spontaneous. And so you can see the different abnormalities right here. There are 3 different types, and all of them have general characteristics, but they have slight differences in the physical symptoms that they cause. So characteristics and behaviors. Again, weak muscle tonnage is common. Extreme appetite and overeating, which is developed around age 2 to 4. And so people with PWS tend to be unable to control their eating, which leads to obesity. And then moderate intellectual disability, their average IQs are from 40 to over 100. Some of them are severely intellectually disabled as well. And then physical abnormalities that are common amongst people with PWS are being short in stature, small hands and feet, underdeveloped sexual organs, delayed motor development. And so common characteristics and behaviors of people with PWS are speech and language issues, specifically articulation, low sequential processing abilities, successive tasks, high simultaneous processing, coinciding tasks. And then they have behavioral issues such as compulsions, which are skin picking, sleeping, eating, etc., stubbornness, obsessions, tantrums, and impulsivity. So here are a few images of people with PWS. Right here are some common facial characteristics, so the narrow temple distance and nasal bridge and all of these other characteristics, which you can see in this child right here who has PWS. And this child also has the small hands and feet, as you can see, in the short stature. And then this is another example of a child with these small hands. So PWS can actually have a profound effect on schooling. Firstly is the uncontrollable hunger that I've mentioned. And so this hunger can distract a student from lessons because they're constantly thinking about it, and it can also alienate them from their classmates, as in extreme cases they may steal students' lunches, or they may go through the trash can to consume waste that is in there if they are unable to get food any other way. And then also health issues such as heart disease and diabetes may have effects in the classroom. So then obesity and weak muscles can lead to lethargy and low energy level in the classroom, which can negatively affect learning, and then they may be excluded from physical activities due to their low muscle tonnage and inability to perform them effectively. So there are also behavioral issues, as I've mentioned before. Temper outbursts, mood swings, and self-harm all may alienate them from other classmates and educators. So general management, before we get into what you can do in a classroom, begin educating the child about proper food practices early on in life, and this can help them manage their insatiable hunger later on. And then also therapy is helpful, behavioral therapy to help them with interpersonal relationships and eating, as well as speech therapy with articulation. And then there have been experiments that have validated hormone treatment therapy to manage some hunger, because there may be a hormonal imbalance that causes them to eat more. There isn't a lot of research backing this quite yet. So in the classroom, a lot of this is on the PWS USA webpage, and there are resources there such as handbooks for teachers, handbooks for other educators, handbooks for parents, etc. And many of the things mentioned there are on these slides. So firstly, as I mentioned before, a lot of them have obsessions and compulsions, and so they may be anxious and have high rigidity. And so this can lead to issues focusing in the classroom and can lead to the child being distracted because they're constantly worrying about what will happen next or when they'll be able to eat next, and things that are completely unrelated to school. And so you can help with this by providing your child with visual schedules with activities, so that they know exactly what is going to happen when, and then timers when they're performing activities and countdowns such as you have 10 minutes to complete this quiz, you have 5 minutes left, and etc., so they aren't as stressed about timing. You can also provide calming rituals, which can add rigidity, which can help with their rigidity, so such as walking around when they are anxious or agitated, and then You also need to make sure that you pace all of this information that you give them. It can be overwhelming to give them an entire week's schedule at once, so you need to make sure that you're keeping them informed while also not overstepping. Important characteristics in general for educators to have with students with PWS are patience and flexibility. And so also many students have obsessions, as I mentioned before, and this may lead to problems in the classroom when they hear something that they like. They may ask multiple questions about it and become stuck or fixated on the subject. And so as an educator, you can put a 3-question limit into place, which is stated prior to the discussion, so that they know that they can ask you about it 3 times and then that is enough. And also, if they ask about the same thing multiple times, you can help the student answer their own questions by asking them something along the lines of, well, what did I say before when you asked me this question? Another issue that is common among students with PWS is stubbornness, and this usually comes from the child not or desiring to have control over their lives. As is pretty clear, they cannot control how much they eat. Other people control what they eat, when they eat, where they go to school, etc. They have a lot of rules in place, and so allowing the child to have some level of control over their education experience can help with this. And then also using we, us language when asking them to do things, such as, it's time for us to put our shoes on now, rather than saying you need to put on your shoes now, making them feel like it's more of a mutual decision. And then focusing on compromise, not negotiation, when you seem to be at an impasse with the child. So aggression is another issue, and the biggest thing here is preventing what would cause the child to be aggressive in the first place. So again, giving them some control with their stubbornness, the 3-question limit with obsession so they do not get upset when you tell them to stop asking, controlling their anxiety or helping with their anxiety by providing them schedules, etc., and not allowing children to interact with them when they are starting to become agitated or aggressive, as they may exacerbate the issue. And then you also can teach the child effective coping mechanisms and ways to deal with their aggression that do not harm themselves or others. Another big thing to do in the classroom is to collaborate with parents and other professionals. You may not know specifically how to deal with a child's particular issue, but the parents have been living with them for likely their whole lives, and they may be experts on this. So it is important to get their input on how to handle the child in the classroom, how to handle their hunger, etc. And it is also important to keep the parent updated on the student's proceedings. And here are my references. Again, on the PWS USA website, there are many resources for educators and for parents to get help for their children. Thank you.